From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports after show live stream. I'm Paul Dawalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host William Collis. For those of you who are new to the live stream, welcome to the official live stream of esports. Welcome to the place where we cover the most pressing gaming and esports topics and news of the week, the stuff that doesn't make it into the podcast, but is still just as important, still just as much fun. And we do it live with you guys, our hardcore viewers, our casual viewers, our people who show up every week, people who show up once in a while. We love all of you. We appreciate all the interaction, all the participation. Guys, for those who haven't yet, tell your friends about this live stream. Invite them to watch with you. Let's make it interactive. Let's make it fun. William, how you doing?
I mean, I'm doing, right? Like, doesn't that say it all?
It's been a week, right? It's been one of those weeks.
It was a light week. I was on the beach a lot of the time, sipping a pina colada. Yeah. I read not one, but two Tom Clancy novels. So,
wow.
Yeah. Pretty.
They were vastly different, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, every Tom Clancy book is, believe it or not, completely different. It's like I still can't believe it's the same author. That's why they have to put Tom Clancy before the title, so because you won't be able to believe it. You'll be like, who's this written by? I've never seen anything like it before. Oh, it's Tom Clancy again.
It's Tom Clancy. Yeah. But you are a Rainbow Six fan, right? So you got to.
Dude, I love. No joke, like all kidding around about TC aside. I love Rainbow Six, and I've loved Rainbow Six as a concept, and I've loved it as a game since the very first game. I remember the very first Rainbow Six game that came out and how much fun I had in the planning stage of that, the planning map of that game. That like opened shooters up for me. Because as we've discussed, I'm a terrible shooter player, but that was the first game that actually said like, hey, there's other ways to be good at this game other than shooting. And so literally, Paul, like, no joke, and I'm going to shut up about this. For those who don't remember, you would set waypoints and actions for squads and everything.
Yes. Which was so cool. You felt like you were in there, right?
Commanding a special ops team.
Yeah.
So I would build one squad, the Alpha Squad, that was just one person who would go hide in a corner, and that was me. And then I would command the other squads to do everything. But if I set the waypoints and the commands correctly, they could all clear the mission for me. So the way I played the mission would be like, Bravo, go. Charlie, go. Delta, go.
So everyone was taking all the risk, and you were cowardly hiding in a corner while your soldiers got killed doing their duties.
No, I was planning and executing. I was
supervising.
No, you make it sound like because I'm not good at shooting, so I would have not helped at all. Anyway, I love that game, and I love modern Rainbow Six too for different reasons now, obviously. What about you? How was your week, Paul? Tell me about your week.
It's been one of those weeks, William. It's been one of those weeks.
I think we both had one of those weeks.
Hey guys, hey Greg. Martin says, evening, missed last week. Happy to be back. Happy to have you back, Martin. And Cam says, happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Wednesday, Cam. Look, this is just so much going on right now. It's kind of fun though, right? Like I think we complain to each other in terms of how much is going on. But in some ways, this is far more interesting than if like nothing was happening. Right?
I wouldn't have it any other way. I like being busy, and I like.
I like this comment. Martin says William was like a World War I British general. Yes.
Oh, forward.
Couldn't be bothered to join the fight himself.
I saw Downton Abbey. I know exactly what they do. Right? They do. Some of them.
You saw Downton Abbey. There was no war in Downton Abbey.
I know, it was a bad example.
It was only in the backdrop. You only heard.
I know. Yeah.
Let's talk about some esports and gaming news, William. How about that? I think that's why people come here, right?
I used to think that, but yeah. Let's check it out. Let's talk about
something. We spent so much time last week, and actually the week before, talking about how much we love the Microsoft Bethesda acquisition.
We do. We love it like a million times.
And then this pops up this week, which was really interesting. Sony, this is from ScreenRant.com. Sony might acquire Arkham Mortal Kombat publisher WB Interactive. That's Warner Brothers Interactive. Mm-hmm. And weird because this has been like a roller coaster with Warner Brothers, right? They said they were going to try and sell their games division. Then they said, just kidding, we're not selling it. Assuming, I think we both assumed they just didn't get the price they wanted.
Yep, exactly.
And now we're seeing this rumor again that they're for sale and Sony's potentially shopping them around. I don't know. Like, can we believe anything anymore about WB Games, or is this like?
Well, I mean,
is this the knee-jerk reaction to the Bethesda acquisition? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the Bethesda acquisition's got to be scary, right? Like, it's got to be scary if you're Sony, because you're going into the platform war, right? You're committed to win. And as we've discussed many times on the podcast, you're probably on your back foot for a number of reasons, right? And then to top it all off, you hear that what was arguably one of the major anchors of the last console generation, Skyrim, is now potentially pulled out from under you, let alone all the other great Bethesda IP, right? So, yeah, it would make sense you would want to do something. And if you're Sony, we talked on prior podcasts about them buying Konami, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. In some ways, Sony buying these guys makes more sense because Sony's already won in Japan, right? They don't need another Konami Castlevania grouping to be a success there. But a Batman, a Mortal Kombat, those are much more Western-focused games and European-focused games in terms of market penetration. They might benefit a lot more from that type of incremental acquisition. Also, and I'll be the first to mention this, Sony, of all the developers and publishers, has arguably had the most interest in film, both because of their heritage with Sony Pictures and because of some of their aggressive and successful and disastrous forays like Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Buying properties like this that have a cinematic heritage, now that's interesting, right? Like this is starting to feel a little more synergistic. Now, like everything, it comes down to the price. But if I were Sony and you said, would you rather buy WB or Konami? I would be more inclined strategically to pursue a WB acquisition. And I'm glad that that's what these guys are talking about right now.
So, like you said, as always, it comes down to price, right? Mm-hmm. The way this acquisition, should it happen, gets judged is what price did they pay. Although today in gaming, I could argue, like, any rational thinking or feeling around pricing has gone out the window for the most part, right? Like, pricing, no one seems to care about pricing anymore, even though I would argue it's probably the first rule of investing is buy at the right price.
Anything more expensive than Star Wars to me is just like, it's like I basically think nothing should cost more than Star Wars. So anytime something's priced higher than Star Wars, like,
this is your benchmark.
It's like my benchmark. Like, is it less expensive than Star Wars? If it is, it could be priced correctly. If it's more than Star Wars,
but you still liked Bethesda, and that was more than Star Wars. So I don't know, right?
I did. I'm
let's put them. Yeah. I will tell you the kind of acquisition I hate the most are these like knee-jerk, tit-for-tat kind of acquisitions, right? Because you got to think to yourself, they haven't really thought this all the way through potentially, and they just need something to come back with so that all the narrative isn't about how genius Microsoft is, right? Like, I'm sure if you're at Sony, you're a little bit tired of hearing about how brilliant the Bethesda acquisition is. And then, so you get this knee-jerk reaction. But let me put you on the spot, William.
Yeah.
Bethesda or WB Interactive? Which one's the better buy? Bethesda. Forget pricing. Let's assume they're both priced correct.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Assuming they're both. So, what do we mean by price correctly? That's debatable. But basically, assuming they're both being bought at the same multiple of current revenues. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So basically, you're basically saying hold the revenue streams equal. What do you think the IP could do? Probably rather have Bethesda. I probably would rather have Bethesda because I think you've seen a lot of what the Warner Brothers IP can do and where it's gone. I don't think you've scratched the surface with what Bethesda owns. I don't think you've scratched the surface.
I just think so much of the WB IP are movie tie-ins, and they rarely make for good games. I don't know why. I mean, I think you know why, and you have theories why, right? But the reality is they rarely make for good games.
It's also my kind of theory of you're better off owning the category captain. And if you think about it, like, okay, Mortal Kombat, it's a very good fighter. Is it the category captain fighter? Probably Street Fighter there, right? So it's a very strong fighting game. Similarly, Batman Arkham Asylum, amazing game. Is it the category captain of 3D adventure games? But there's a lot of stuff competing there. Uncharted, even
Probably
the Zelda
Assassin's
titles,
Creed
right?
or
Assassin's Creed, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Skyrim, that is the category captain of RPGs. And if it's not Skyrim, it's probably Fallout, right? I like acquisitions where you're buying the category captain because that is there's just a certain gravitas and weight and flexibility to your IP that you get when you're the marquee IP. And for that reason alone, I think I would prefer the Bethesda acquisition, even everything else held equal, just because I think it's better to be, if you're buying something and you're buying big, it's better to be buying number one.
Yep.
But you can make fun of me for that if you want. I don't know.
So, well, Adam says nobody actually comes here for news, only shenanigans.
I'm kidding.
I don't know why I do so much prep then. Let's just do like a solid half an hour of making fun of William. And then we'll leave it to William to do another half an hour of obscure gaming references. And then we'll call it a day. I mean, this is like a better show in general, right?
That's what I've advocated for 2 years for is Paul and I play a video game. I make random references. Paul makes fun of me. Like it's what everybody wants.
I feel like we're not listening to the fans here, William. We're being tone deaf.
Product.
Chris says Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat PS exclusive, perhaps. Yeah, I mean the rumor exists because it looks like this is the knee-jerk reaction to the Bethesda acquisition, and they feel they need to beef up their exclusives even further on the Sony side. It's weird though because Sony's exclusives are already very strong. Like overpaying for WB Interactive at this point seems like a mistake to me. And WB Interactive clearly was not willing to sell at any price, right? They went on the market. They didn't get the price they wanted. If Sony goes and like if we hear next week that Sony paid more than $4 billion for this, I'd be extremely disappointed in Sony, I think. Because they went out and no one was a buyer at $4 billion a month or two ago. Why now?
Yeah, but the market changes, right? Like the market changes. It's the holdout problem, right? Like the last asset for sale in the apartment commands the higher price. It's the advantage of Microsoft. Again, this is why I think Microsoft is very strategically smart as a company. Like they're in an IP consolidation, there's a big advantage to being the first buyer, and they were kind of the first in this next wave. So, yeah.
Speaking of tone deaf, we've got a couple of we have 3 Activision Blizzard stories today. One's fun. We'll save it for a bit later. One's actually too much fun. Yeah. This one's a bit more serious. We won't spend too much time on it though, because we have spent quite a bit of time on this before. But it's 2 stories that are connected here. The first from the Esports Observer. Pete Vlastelica steps down as Overwatch League commissioner. Not much to say. He was the commissioner after Nate Nanzer left for Epic Games. They brought in this guy from MLB basically to sit on top of him. And so I had seen this coming. I, in fact, tweeted about it before it was even announced. That's how clearly I saw it coming, William. It was just kind of obvious, right? When your company hires another middle manager just above you, like, you're getting squeezed in some form or fashion, right? Like that's just the reality of big company sort of hierarchy.
It's generally how big company politics work. Yes.
Yeah. And so, this tied to, then there was a follow-up story in the past week where Joanna Ferries, this is from GameReactor.eu, Joanna Ferries reportedly named head of leagues at Activision Blizzard. So she is currently the Call of Duty commissioner, and the rumor is, which I think it has been confirmed, that she will be taking over as Overwatch League commissioner as well. So 2 stories connected: Pete out, Joanna in as Overwatch League commissioner. I mean, we've been so tough on Overwatch League, William, but you have to admit. Well, hold on. Yeah. If this was any other league. Okay.
Yeah.
If I had told you the NFL has had 3 commissioners in their last 2 seasons, wouldn't you be saying, wait a second, something's wrong over at the NFL?
Yeah, I would. And I would also probably have a problem if I heard that the commissioner of the NLB would also now be the commissioner of the NFL. I would say, wait a minute, aren't those two things kind of... But so I am 100% with you in an abstract level, but I like this. And you know why I like it?
Why?
Because Call of Duty as a league has performed significantly better than the Overwatch League. I think by any metric you can say that, right?
Your statement is factually correct.
Yes, it's factually correct, right? Good. That's a nice place to start. Jonas Ferris.
It's a low bar, but
yeah, but
correct.
Bear with me. Jonas Ferris was commissioner of the Call. Is commissioner of the Call. Is commissioner of the Call of Duty League.
Yep.
She has done a better job stewarding that over, or she is partly responsible for the incremental success Call of Duty has had over Overwatch, I would argue. I think it is a good move right now to get some DNA from Call of Duty, which I think it's been rocky too, but I think it's been stronger than Overwatch. I think it is some good move to get some DNA from Call of Duty into Overwatch. And I think this is is it the only DNA I would try to get in? Is it the only way I would try to address the situation? No, I would do other things too. But I think at the end of the day, if you have 2 people, if you have one league, if you have 2 leagues in your portfolio, one that is performing better than the other, getting some of that, what's going on in the better league into the other league, that's a good move. So I'm very supportive of this. I think it's a smart transition. And this has me, I've consistently defended Overwatch on this podcast. And this is another time where I'll say, look, you're popular until you're not, and you're not popular until you're hot. Right. And again, I've said for a while, this could be the start of something interesting for Overwatch in sort of a second phase in his life. What do you think, Paul?
No,
Tell me
I think,
your story.
Look, you clearly did debate or something in high school, William, right? Like you took me through a very solid argument.
Thank you. I did do debate.
But here's the ugly reality. Here's kind of the uglier truth, the way I see it, which is Overwatch League has been a dumpster fire. Okay, so they had to make a change, right? Pete couldn't stay. You have to do something, and the reality is it's been kind of a dumpster fire since the beginning, which is why you have 3 commissioners in 2 years. So something is fundamentally broken there, and no one seems to know what, right? I think part of the problem why you keep bringing all these new people through is you're hoping someone's going to fix it.
Yeah.
Your argument that Call of Duty League has performed better than Overwatch League, while true, it's Overwatch League has performed so poorly that the reality is you and I playing heroes probably could outperform Overwatch League at some point. We're talking about numbers that are so low that Call of Duty as a franchise should never have underperformed Overwatch League, right? The reality is it was expected to outperform. And I would argue there's probably more correlation between Call of Duty player base and Call of Duty League numbers versus Overwatch League player base and Overwatch League numbers than saying, well, it was Joanna's stewardship at Call of Duty League. To me, this is a tough correlation to draw. It could be. I'm just saying it's not clear.
In a company this big, you can never attribute success to a single part, all the success to a single person. It's everybody working together. But I think a lot more has gone right with Call of Duty than Overwatch, and starting to get more of that. And you're 100% right. A lot of Call of Duty success right now, it's the fact that there's a free-to-play mode available in Warzone, right?
Yeah.
For a hot genre mode, battle royale, right? That's a lot of it, right? That's a lot of it. I don't care how the DNA is getting in there, whether it's through developers, leagues, whatever. I want more Call of Duty in my Overwatch. I think that is important, and I think this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but when you can't tie the success of Call of Duty League directly to one person, right? Yeah. How can you defend this decision? Because there's a much more obvious management decision here, right? We know we need to get rid of Pete. Things aren't working in Overwatch League. Let's bring in fresh blood again and see what happens, right? Not overburden someone who's already got a pretty big, I would say, problem, but opportunity problem, however you want to frame it, on her hands with Call of Duty League. It's not like that's smooth sailing over there.
How about I defend this another way? Because I think this move makes a lot more sense than it does at first glance. How about I defend this another way, right? I am a team like Anbox, and I own a Overwatch League franchise with New York Excelsior, and I own a Call of Duty franchise with New York Subliners.
It's the worst brand in history
we still
other
don't
than
know
Anbox.
How that's pronounced.
Yeah.
I'm going to call them Subliners. The New York Subliners. No, they're Subliners. That's all they are. So I'm there, right? It is a big deal because now I am very invested, and they're not in an unusual position. I'm very invested in the success of both leagues, and I definitely do not want Overwatch poaching Call of Duty or Call of Duty poaching Overwatch. I need both to grow. There is a real coordination problem when you have two leagues managed totally separately and shared owners across the leagues.
Yeah, but that was the new guy's job. That was the new MLB guy's job that they brought in. He was supposed to bring that kind of, remember that? Like that was almost word for word how they framed what he was bringing to the table. His 30 years of management and like being able to structure all these things. Like, you don't take someone who's day to day in one of the leagues, like nuts and bolts day to day operations, and then just give them twice as much work to do.
I first of all, I don't know.
Your point's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, super good point. But it was the guy they hired from MLB that I'm sure they're paying millions of dollars. What the hell is this guy doing?
Well, no, but I mean, look, I sort of agree with you. It is a bit weird, but like, give Activision Blizzard the benefit of the doubt. They know how to structure a management team. Because I would tell you.
This lasts less than 6 months, William. Less than 6 months.
All right.
I guarantee.
You call it. I would say if there's one thing I would bet Activision Blizzard can do is they know how to set up a management structure. There's some logic behind this. And I think there are real reasons why you would want to do it this way. Now, again, I'm not saying that this one change reflects an entire solution to the challenges facing the Activision Blizzard. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying right now two things. One, in general, any change is probably good. Like, change is probably good here. This is change, right? That's good. And also, I particularly like change that allows for closer coordination between the two leagues, right? Mm-hmm. And that gets some of the COD DNA into Overwatch. And this does this. So like I said, it's not the only thing. There has to be more. I think it's a pretty good step. I would be very supportive of this. And congrats to Johanna and her new role. I
would love, you know what piece of information I'd love to have, which I don't have. How many owners did they ask before they made this move? Like I would love to know how many of the dual team owners did they actually poll before making a move like this, right? Owners who had experience with both Joanna and Pete, for example, because they would have the clearest visibility on good or no, right? Like they would have the clearest, the most direct experience to make a decision like this. Cam says, could the leagues have the same issues? Maybe they're looking to use new ideas for both, streamline the leadership. Yes, there are some similar issues across both, but some that are not the same. Just overburdening one person across both leagues seems like a mistake to me. And I think they've marketed both leagues to different audiences so as not to cannibalize each other. They've tried to give them unique personalities. Making them more similar may hurt them in the long run, I think. But we'll see.
Well, seems like they keep throwing trash. No, guys.
Greg. I agree. Greg, this about sums up my feelings on this one.
Guys, my
quote of the day for me from Greg. Chris says maybe dude got fired for doing Overwatch League finals same day as World's final. Like, yes, it's a good point.
I don't think it's. I think it's sort of the opposite. I think it's probably, if anything, it's that the Overwatch League finals this year are directly competing with the League of Legends World Finals.
That's exactly what he's saying.
Oh yeah, that's what he's saying. So I thought he was saying Call of Duty finals.
No, Pete got fired a week before the grand finals for Overwatch League, right? And it could be because he made the grand finals at the same time as League of Legends World Finals.
I'm sorry, but that is a real strategic mistake, because even leagues that are directly competitive, like Major League Baseball and the NFL and the NBA and thing, like they stagger their seasons around each other. The NFL and the NBA finals are not, like, the Super Bowl and the NBA finals are not on the same day for a reason, right? Like, just like tentpole movies avoid each other. Like, it's something the industry does need a little coordination. And I agree that timing was very unfortunate. William, their calendar stacked
Chris,
up that
to
way.
me, it's a signal. It's a signal of Activision Blizzard's supreme arrogance. Misplaced arrogance, unfortunately, but supreme arrogance. Adam says, I'll bet COD gets more attention because Overwatch League is a dead horse. Look, it's inevitable. One of the two, if they're managed by the same person who was only managing one before, one of the two is going to get more attention. That
is the part that worries me is, you know, they say in business, and it's true. People always said to me when I did brand management, they say you always have a favorite brand. You know, there's the brand that's well behaved, that has a great product pipeline, and it's the brand that, you know, you give the most love to because it's an easy one to love. And that is actually my biggest concern in all of this is it is going to be really hard when you're over both properties to make sure both properties are fairly managed and driven for success. Because, yeah, at the end of the day, you know, think about it this way, right? If I can get one more user out of COD, or one more viewer out of COD, or one more viewer out of Overwatch, right? And it's easier to get one more viewer out of COD, you can bet I'm going to be driving my initiatives through COD, right? You know, to hit my, and I do, that is my one concern about this, is the accountability piece. And in a world where COD excels and Overwatch struggles, you know, is that really something that you're going to punish your league person for? No, if they're hitting their top line number, you know, so I worry about that.
I look, I'm going to end on this. I have no doubt it's going to accelerate the struggles of both leagues, not solve them. And in 6 to 12 months, they will undo this because they will have realized it's a major mistake. Can we move on to what I think, and I'm not saying this facetiously, William, it's seriously the greatest esports / gaming product idea I've seen the entire year. I love it so much. It's so simple, but I genuinely love it.
What is it? I don't know. What is it?
So this is from Business Insider, okay? And the headline is, gaming giant Razer is launching a prepaid credit card that lights up when you make payments. And so the article says, gaming company Razer's launching a prepaid credit card with Visa in Singapore. The card is virtual, similar to the Apple Card, but users can request a premium physical card that lights up when you make payments. Razer's the latest tech company to branch out into the personal finance space. Like, I don't know why I like this so much.
No, because
it's a light on a credit card, but it is so brilliant. It's so genius.
It's like a better idea than because first of all, I do love that Razer made a list of how did they innovate PC peripherals, and lights was on the list. Yeah, like, where else? What are other things people use that don't light up that we could make light up? Like that.
Everyone loves premium credit cards, right? Everyone wants to feel like they've got an American Express black card, right?
Oh, I know.
And Chase, when they did their what was it called, like the special reserve card that was metal, people went nuts for it. When Apple did their titanium card, people went nuts for it, right? This is like, it's a statement, right? When you go and you pull out your card and it's something cool or different. It's just, this is so mind-blowing, simple, genius. I don't know why no one thought of this before.
You know, me too. And I like the fact that it's gamer affiliated too.
Yeah.
I would be so pumped paying in a coffee shop with that. And that, like, I can see the conversation, like, oh, that's pretty cool. Your card lights up. Yeah. Oh, you gamer? Yeah, I am. That's why I have a card that lights up.
That's why I have a card that lights up. Craig says, wow, RGB credit card. Yes, Razer did it. They finally did it.
Needs a chroma
This is like
keyset.
Man on the Moon level of human achievement.
You joke, but like legitimately, if this were in the United States, I would this would become my primary credit card, and that is not facetious.
Same.
It's not like, no, Paul. Like, legitimately, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. That and it speaks to the fact that, look, vanity sells, particularly when you're you know, this is a great lesson for listeners. Like, don't mistake particularly in a product category where there's not a lot of differentiation, right? This is why the Model T didn't dominate the car market, for the long term, because people wanted variety and vanity sells, and this is a great innovation for vanity cards.
But it got me thinking too, like all the other places where you could apply that principle, right? Where
oh my god,
where the tried and true sort of market leader has no sort of appeal from a vanity perspective. Adam says, I'm tempted to move to Singapore just to get one of these. Yeah,
me too,
buddy. Like I said, I kind of agree. It's so tempting. It's really unfortunate we cannot get them here. We can try reach out to the CEO of Razer, right?
Yeah, actually, we probably should. I know a lot of people at Razer to get that.
But I wouldn't be. How long do you think until we see some credit card company in the US basically knocking this off?
6 months. 6 months.
Yeah.
Like it'll be Q1 of next year when this happens, and it better be a gamer related card, because I'm going to go with whatever light up card they have, and I'll be disappointed if it's not video games. So,
let's switch topics, William, to something where you definitely need a credit card, and it's been in the news mostly for how much you spend on your credit card.
I do spend a lot.
And I think, I don't have tremendous amount of insight on this, so I'm curious to hear what you think here. It's 2 articles that I saw on the same thing here. One was from Washington Post saying, I spent $130 in Genshin Impact. If you might do this, maybe don't play it. And then Forbes had an article where they said Genshin Impact feels destined to change the gaming industry. Now, maybe explain to me, because the article, the game I understand, right? And for our viewers, the game is basically a Zelda Breath of the Wild total knockoff, but with anime characters. And it's free to play, but it's one of these, what they call gacha games, which is a Japanese term, right? I don't know what the translation means or specifically, but what I understand from all this is that the free to play piece is very strong. Like the pull to spend money here is very, very powerful. And you have to spend almost obscene amounts of money to get the strongest characters in the game. Like what's the legacy or history here of gacha games, and why is this all of a sudden the hottest thing on everyone's lips?
Well,
like why are
I should know this better than I do. So please, somebody can correct me in chat if I got the history wrong here. But I think what this is it actually comes from the machines. Like, do you remember there are these machines, like physical machines where you can put in quarters or whatever, and you get out like toys, like prepackaged toys?
Yep. Yeah.
And I believe in Japan they were called like complete gotcha. That was what they were called for, like literally, like I think it's actually gotcha as in like I gotcha, like I got the one I'm looking at. I think it comes over from English. And basically, these were very popular, and they still are very popular in Japan, and they would release, like various waves of characters for you to collect for your favorite IP, like Dragon Ball, and people would spend tons of money trying to get the very specific figures that they wanted, and each time it was random, and some were rarer than others, and so people would dump hundreds of dollars into these machines trying to get their Goku figure, right? And actually there's a whole cottage industry of figure resale that's up there from the gacha machines, which if you go to Japan and go to Akihabara or any kind of the nerd havens, you'll see tons of these figures for sale today. So this was adopted by the mobile games industry in Japan as a monetization model. It's essentially a lottery. You spend money, you get a pull, and you can get a figure out of it, right? You can get a character, an in-game item, whatever. And actually, these got so bad in Japan, I actually think gacha games are outlawed in Japan now. They are now illegal.
Oh, wow.
You cannot use, I believe this is true. Again, I should know this better than I do, but I believe the country that sort of gave birth to gacha, you can't have gacha monetization anymore in the game. At least not the strict purchase, randomized result payout, right? But that doesn't stop that business model from being adopted widely across the world, because it's a slot machine. It's literally what it is. It's a slot machine. And you pay lots of pulls to have a chance at getting the best figure. And this monetization model is all over free-to-play games. It's arguably what loot boxes are, by the way, like just to be clear. Because think about loot boxes, they have various outcomes and you can't quite... Now, loot boxes now have supporting systems like crafting and everything to sort of give you a way to get what you want. But basically, this system is now powering a lot of the games in the West. And it's not, I'm surprised to see such a big deal made of the Genshin Impact monetization, because I don't think it's that unusual. I think what it is extremely aggressive. And
Yeah,
I
doesn't it
think
seem like the worst of the worst so far? Like they're not
pretty,
transparent about anything,
yep.
about the odds. And from
Mhm.
what I understand in the game, you buy certain currency, and then you have 2 or 3 different kinds of pulls, right? You can
Mhm.
spend more of that currency, but it has a higher chance at giving you a better item,
Yep.
right? Like it seems completely like a slot machine.
Yeah, it is. That's what they are. They're slot machines. I mean, I just be very clear. Like they might be dressed up differently, but they are usually slot machines. And yeah, and I think why Genshin Impact is different is the underlying game here is pretty good. I don't know if it's the greatest game ever made, but I think what people are running up against is it is a rare moment in the West when you have a game you really want to play that demands an extremely aggressive monetization system to continue playing, and basically a lottery driven monetization scheme. And, I also kind of laugh at this though, like very seriously, because we've felt this before with collectible card games. Like, look at Hearthstone. Like, I don't think anybody blinked at dropping, if you were a serious Hearthstone player, dropping $100 on a new expansion. That was the pricing of the bundle. It was right there, $99, right? So we see this model in other places. We're just naturalized to it. And all Genshin is we're not used to seeing it in this mobile sim Zelda style genre. We're not used to seeing it on such a good game. And we're not used to seeing such blatant aggressive monetization, because usually the pulls and the veneer is hidden more behind other systems. So it's more naked capitalism, but it's nothing.
So there's nothing unique here, William, driving the craze or the concern. It's just this perfect storm of, they knocked off Breath of the Wild. It's anime. So there's a good game with the anime draw plus this, like, these crazy sort of monetization methods. It's just this perfect storm of, now people want to play, but realize they're spending hundreds of dollars to play, whereas maybe on a crappy mobile game they may have only spent a few bucks, and it didn't raise any red flags, right?
Now, the thing we don't talk about though with gotcha games, and I think maybe a little bit of the nuance here, because you might say, William, the end of the day, how is this different from buying, guys in League of Legends, right? Because you're building switching costs. You're saying spend some money and get some unique heroes in the game, right? And that's different from League. The only difference here is you don't know if you're spending $30 or $1 to get the guy or the girl you want, but it's basically the same thing, but it really isn't. And here's why it really isn't, because in these randomized systems, there is there are real psychological effects that kick in, which is once you start gambling and playing for your certain figure or the one you want, the more you have this kind of sunk cost fallacy and the loss leader effect and all these other psychological that basically make you feel like you can't stop, because you get to a point where, well, I've spent $25 and I still don't have them. Am I really going to walk away having wasted $25? No. But if I spend one more dollar, that will change to I got the person I want, right? Yeah. So it really exploits human psychology in a way that is, I think, much crueler than just a standard microtransaction model.
I'll take it one step further, because I saw this in my own, like, Discord, friends group kind of thing, where a lot of them are playing this game, right? And it only takes one kid to get like a crazy good character on like their second sort of pull. Yeah. Right. And then everyone's going, oh, no way. Like, and then there's this like incentive to spend money to catch up there. Right. Like,
yeah, it's
you
the
see someone winning and you go, well, I could win too.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
And Cam is saying something in the chat, like, is that not how Raid chat? Yeah, that's how all these games work. That's how, like, that's what I mean. This isn't particularly unique. What's unique here is, I think, for a lot of these games, the mobile market is so used to it, they don't complain, and the hardcore gamers don't have an interest in playing. And this is one that the hardcore gamers want to play.
What do you think of Chris's point here, William, which is not before the regulators get their hands on it? No one has really intervened on the mobile side at all yet.
It's going to happen.
Do you think it will happen? Do you think it takes a game like this that maybe gets more mainstream press?
Yeah, like it's going to happen. It's gonna happen.
But is it Genshin that is the
Yeah, and I found the date actually. I just Googled it here. It happened a while ago in Japan. The Japan Consumer Affairs Agency ruled complete gacha to be illegal on July 1st, 2012. So we are pretty behind here for enforcement in the mobile space, I would say.
Interesting.
I also think that ruling in Japan had such a chilling effect on monetization around the globe for, that publishers themselves reined in a little bit. But I also think we're getting to a stage where publishers have kind of forgotten the lesson of the Japan ban, and they found ways around it. They found systems that obscure more and other things.
But the trends have been, at least in my mind, has been towards more transparency, at least especially on the PC side, right? Where you can open Apex and it'll tell you, right? You open a loot box in Apex Legends, your chance of getting a legendary is 1.6% or something, right? Like that transparency is sobering, but at least it tells you what to expect. I thought that was the general trend of the industry, and it seems like this is a step backwards.
I also kind of thought that was what you needed to do legally. You know what I mean? Like I could be wrong, but I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I thought like that disclosure wasn't just out of the goodness of the publishers' hearts.
Yeah.
They're doing it because transparent odds are generally required when you have a randomized outcome for consumers, right? Because otherwise I could say, hey guys, I got a complete gacha. There's a chance you win $100 trillion. What are the odds of winning it? Oh, you'll find out. Like be great. I'd make a lot of money. And that's why you have to disclose, the odds in all of these consumer things, because otherwise you can prey on unsophisticated customers.
Cam says, I know that Apex had to show percentage chance to win in boxes. Yeah, most mobiles already have that, to my knowledge. What will the next laws be? Look, I think the trends will continue towards more transparency.
Yeah.
I have a funny feeling there will be some backlash against Genshin, because it's going to take one kid who takes his mom's credit card and spends $5,000 on Genshin to get a story in the New York Times or whatever, and then all hell breaks loose, right? Everyone says this stuff's terrible. Let's talk about a guy who also takes a lot of flack, but this was some very big news for him. Our good friend XQC, from the Esports Observer, Luminosity Gaming signs streamer XQC, land sponsor for reality show on Twitch. So it talks about two things here. One, where Luminosity Gaming announced that they're signing him as a streamer, to their creators roster, and that they are announcing the second edition of their reality show called Rising Stars, where they take 40 minor streamers on Twitch, competing essentially to get a sponsorship from Luminosity Gaming. And one of the judges is now going to be XQC as a consequence of him joining Luminosity Gaming. So very cool kind of news. XQC has seen his ups and downs in the industry, gone from pro to streamer. What do you make of this, William? What do you make of this signing? As a team, I know you sign content creators as well, not just pros.
Yeah.
But Luminosity Gaming is not one of the big names you hear of every day, really. They're not. I don't think they're seen as at the level of a Cloud9 or a TSM. But XQC is probably the number one or number two streamer on Twitch today.
Tier 1 streamer. Yeah, I would say he's
literally. I think he's got the most, other than Nick Merckx, maybe. I think he's literally number 1 or 2.
Oh, look at you dropping your trendy Nick Merckx. Well, but what this says is, I read this as a different way, which is Luminosity is willing to spend to try to grow their profile in the industry, right?
What do you suspect they had to spend though? Because I never understand really the economics here, right? Well, and because look, let me just break it down. Today, and I checked, as of today, XQC has 53,000 subscribers on Twitch.
Yep.
Okay. That means just from Twitch, he's probably earning let's pick nice round numbers, 150,000 a month. Okay.
It's a lot of cash.
It's a lot of cash, right? What does he need a Luminosity for? Why do these teams even enter into the equation? And how can they drive interesting enough economics for a guy like him?
Well, I mean, the way so it all depends on the agreement, because these agreement, and I think this thing we don't understand is these agreements can be very sensitive, right? Because let's imagine XQC is just doing what he's doing, and Luminosity comes around and says, hey, if you wear a Luminosity jersey and put a Luminosity banner up, I'll give you $5 million. Well, that's literally the definition of incremental $5 million for
true.
no extra effort. In fact, you might argue it's easier for him because now he doesn't have to pick his shirt, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. These agreements, why does the streamer do it? Because it's potentially an extremely lucrative transaction for the streamer with very little, in their simplest, most aggressive, and most baseline form, right? Now, The problem with the transaction I described to you is Luminosity really getting $5 million worth of value there? Well, probably, maybe it does so much for their brand profile and we talk about it and it drives new fans, but probably not. What Luminosity really wants to do is to be able to count XQC's reach in their portfolio. So when they go to a sponsor like Coke, they can say, oh, and Coke, we can get this on XQC as well. And look at what that does. But now that also sort of cuts under XQC's revenues, because XQC maybe could have gotten a deal with Coke, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's this fine balancing act of what the team can sell, how much they can sell, what the rights are for the team sponsorships versus personal sponsorships, how the cuts break out. So you'll never know which party benefits, in this deal, because it's all in the details. Because like I said, in the simplest transaction, if you look at the simplest transaction on the XQC side, he's getting $5 million for nothing. If you look at the simplest transaction on Luminosity side, they get rights to sell over greater reach. They'll do really well, right? It's where you land in the middle that determines who the deal is good for. My suspicion is the weaker party it pays more. I bet this was a good deal for XQC and not such a hot deal for Luminosity.
But don't you find this is a truly esports / gaming unique kind of happening, right? You don't see this in traditional sports at all, ever. I don't think, right? You don't get the Montreal Canadiens aren't, which is an NHL hockey team, right? Are not knocking on my door going, hey, Paul, we know you played some hockey growing up, right? Could you go make hockey content for us and we'll sign you under the Montreal Canadiens brand? Right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Right?
Well, it's because esports teams today are conflating, I think, two different business models. They're conflating the franchise team owner, right? Which is, let's get a lot of fans because we win, right? And because we're a super competitive roster and, whatever, we're the local team, whatever it is. That's why I follow the Patriots, right? And they're conflating the Instagram influencer model. I'm not following, I don't know who's an Instagram influencer. I don't even know, is Kim Kardashian, okay, so I'm not following Kim Kardashian because she wins all of her football games. I'm following her because I think she's interesting. Maybe I think she's attractive. I want to know more about her life, right? So, and that's different. That's basically a sponsorship or a talent management model, right? And we've conflated the two in esports because streaming is so integral to both, right? But it is true that you're monetizing the assets very, very differently, right?
Yeah, but don't you see a future if you fast forward here where a guy like XQC can earn so much on his own, right? Drive so much sponsorship on his own, where he becomes such a big brand personally and a business personally, right? That the team-owned content creators essentially goes away. That phenomenon goes away.
Because you're misunderstanding it. In that world, Luminosity is effectively a sponsor of XQC. It's just marketed differently.
Fair.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So no. These guys are always going to be on teams and they're always going to be affiliated with it, because just like they have brand value to Coke, they have brand value to Luminosity. The question is, can you make money as an influencer agency if you're in a team role when these guys already have influencer agencies? In this case, I think it's Evolved Media who represents XQC, right? It's Evolved.
I would love, I can't wait for the day when we have multiple teams sponsoring the same content creator.
It's not that crazy.
Well, but by your own sort of admission, right? That's a potential outcome.
I definitely think it's a potential outcome. You tell me that, and I tell you, I don't think that sounds that crazy. I'm telling you right now. I don't think that sounds far-fetched. It's not, we're not close. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
But there will come a day when you will see two teams with very distinct fan bases. Like maybe one is European, one is Asian, one is North American, one is European, right? And they have the same pro on both because it's an incremental sponsorship, just like Coke and G Fuel can be on the same brand because they're different types of drinks.
Let's talk about something, William, that may happen very, very soon. Unlike multiple team sponsorships for a single streamer.
Are viewers buying another copy of the Book of Esports because they like me?
They should. A second copy is, you need it, right?
You never know what might happen to the first copy.
That's
you
it.
Just don't. Yeah.
You forget it somewhere. Maybe
Yeah.
It happens.
Anything like me, it just gets worn. You want a premium one. You got to put it in the first. Anyway, tell me what's immediate here.
This was from CNBC.com. U.S. gaming platform Roblox prepares to go public. Roblox is working with investment banks to prepare for a U.S. stock market listing that could come early next year. The online gaming platform expects it could double its recent $4 billion valuation. It's weighing whether to go public through a traditional IPO or a direct listing. This article has a lot of just generic stuff on the company and some stuff on direct listings, which are relatively rare. But company was founded in 2004. It raised $150 million in February at a $4 billion valuation. Andreessen Horowitz is the lead investor there, and it reaches 115 million monthly active users. Look, yet another gaming IPO, probably yet another home run.
Yep.
Is there anything like here that there's not to like?
Nothing not to like. I mean, nothing. I think they're huge. They're a platform. They're probably should be public given the valuations they've been hitting. Based on what we've seen for IPOs in the market, I expect they'll excel. I expect they'll have a wonderful IPO. There's nothing not to like here. I mean, the only real question is if you're Notch and you're looking at what you sold Minecraft for to Microsoft, are you starting to regret it big time now? Who knows?
Well,
the
guy walked away with like $4 billion in his pocket or something, right? Like some obscene amount of money.
He was fine. He's the only person ever who can like own 3 houses and party in Ibiza and be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have let it go."
He scooped, I think, the house that Jay-Z and Beyonce were trying to buy. Literally, he outbid them. So he's doing okay.
We were trying. Right. Well, he scooped us. We were trying to get that for the Business of Esports offices. That was a real
our HQ, right? $100
that
million
was a real
HQ.
blow. Yeah, it's either that or Stark Towers. We were having the debate. I remember. Yeah.
No, but look, is there anything here other than, because the obvious question for me, William, is why did no one scoop this up before? Right? Especially like a Microsoft. You bought Minecraft. You know what you did with Minecraft. Epic could easily probably raise enough money to go buy this. Microsoft could have bought this. Right? Why let it slip? Why did no one no one scoop this up before now?
The weird thing to me, and I think and this might be unfair to say, I think Roblox was really out of the business zeitgeist for a long time. You know what I mean? Like despite, and I don't know, that's not a good answer, but like despite the success the game had, I think because it was such a younger audience, I think because it looked so much like Minecraft in many ways, and I think candidly because a lot of the things you play on Roblox, and I'm sorry to criticize, aren't that fun. Like, I'm sorry, I've tried Roblox. I don't think a lot of the content is great.
I don't know. You're the target audience.
No, I'm not. Sure. I'm not as an adult. I'm clearly not. But my point I'm making is I think like that whole thing, it's not an entirely new category like Minecraft, so it's not going to get that splash, right? It's a much younger user, so it's not entering the business zeitgeist. It's not something we're playing regularly, right? When we go to play it, we don't get it because it's aimed at a younger user. It looks too simple, too basic, too what, right? You know what I mean? And candidly, also, I suspect that the potential of these platform games didn't become so clear until the point the train had left the station. You know what I mean? Like, I think now we're really getting bought off on this idea that these game creation games can be more than games. They can be game creation platforms, not just even distribution, but creation. I think that's where Fortnite's going and other things, right?
Yep.
I don't think that was in the popular consciousness when Roblox would have been a snap up price. I think that started to get in the popular consciousness in the last 2 years, and then the valuations were getting crazy high. And I think it's one of those things where the business slept on it, and also the mentality for what games could be wasn't there. These guys, like, they're way ahead. They founded in what, 2004? Is that what it said, right?
Yeah.
2004. I mean, these guys were way ahead. That's 16 years, dude. That's 16 years. They are way ahead of the curve at Roblox.
Yeah, but I'm not saying why didn't and no one buy it in 2004, but you're telling me Microsoft with, their 200-person corporate development arm, or, Epic with all the genius they have there. Like, I sort of buy your argument, William, and I think it's borderline genius, right? That part of it is there just wasn't the same amount of hype around Roblox, not the same amount of public attention, and therefore it just doesn't get bought, right?
Yeah,
it flies under the radar forever.
When you're going to do a $1 billion acquisition, and you walk into the room with the CEO, and he or she says, "What game? Never heard of that game," right? Like, it matters. Your deal doesn't get through. $1 billion, the attitude is everyone should have heard of it, So
yeah,
but I also think there's another
buyers knew it existed, knew it was growing.
And if you want, and this is perspective, if you want another explanation for that, I could argue the conversation went like this with the Roblox folks, right? Hey, we're Microsoft. We'd like to buy you for $2 billion. Hi, we're Andreessen Horowitz. What we'd like to do is inject some capital in you now to get your valuation up and give you a little runway, and then architect an IPO. Well, you'll go between 8 and 12, right?
Fair. Andreessen may have told them, "Look, guys, we can get you to a public listing at an $8 billion valuation, so don't sell now," right? Yeah. But even at $8 billion, that's within the realm of possible acquisitions for companies like Microsoft. And I'll take it one step further. I think long-term, Roblox being public on its own may end up doing the company a disservice. Like, I think it would have been better as a Microsoft property than a standalone platform on its own.
I think it would have been better as a Sony property. You want to talk about what Sony should have? Yeah. I agree. These sorts of brands are probably better housed in a brand portfolio company, because then you can graft all the IP on. It's all in the family. It's much easier. I agree.
And also, Roblox will have an end. The game itself will have an end.
Yeah.
Right? The same way Fortnite will have an end. And whether the company can reinvent itself at that moment of time without sort of a big brother sort of protecting it, I don't know. But to me, that happens eventually.
Well, it's interesting, but either way, I think it's, I think the takeaway for me is, these guys deserve a huge congratulations. Like, I think they've stewarded a property that even I was skeptical of it for a long time. I was late to the party, which is why I offered that as part of the public explanation, right? Because I think I slept on this game. These guys have done an incredible job. Huge kudos,
Let's can we do the fun one about Activision Blizzard now?
What's the fun one about? I don't remember what that one was. What was it? Tell me.
It's
their thing. Yeah, do that thing. Let's do it.
This is so stupid. Activision, the headline here is from ladbible.com. Activision Blizzard has made a nightmare browser experience about being a gamer. So supposedly they launched this thing called Gallery of the Gamer. The website, it's an interactive gallery where pieces within the virtual experience discuss the idea of being a gamer and what that means. The intro to the experience says, "Welcome to the Gallery of the Gamer, an interactive exhibit that explores the 6 different segments that make up the diverse gaming community. By exploring the motivations, identity, and behaviors of gamers, this exhibit will change the stereotypical perceptions of gamers and paint a more complete picture of the gamer audience." And then you're put into a gallery. "Are you a gamer?" is plastered on a large virtual wall, and you have 2 hands and you can move around.
Cool.
There's this major downward spiral going on at Activision Blizzard.
No,
William, come on. They shut down.
Paul?
They shut down their entire studio. Where was it? In France, in Spain, in France. One of those.
I don't remember. I don't think they had a studio in France or Spain. I don't remember. But anyway, keep going. Yeah, say they shut down a studio. Sure, maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah, and even Mike Morhaime came out and said, I'm so sorry to hear with this news. It's terrible. Yeah. And then someone took the time to make this hot garbage. Like, what's the point? Make a freaking new game. Stop giving us crap we don't want.
I defend this. I really do. I defend this.
Defend it. I don't know how you're going to do that.
Yeah. I like I said, but look, I just, first of all, I don't think this is the reason why we're not playing Diablo 4 right now.
You're right. In isolation, it's not the reason, capital T, we're not playing Diablo 4.
I highly doubt this was a massive dump of Blizzard resources. Let me start there. So the notion that they could have been doing all this other stuff. I suspect this was a passion project internally. They got a couple legs, right, and moved forward. That's one. Number two, I appreciate, did the execution land the mark? Did they stick the landing? Probably not. No. But do I appreciate the idea of trying to do more things around gaming that situate it for different audiences and present it in a different light? Do I like the idea of an interactive online museum around gaming? In principle, yeah, it might be cool. I don't think this is probably how it should have been done. I don't know if this is the best. Clearly, it hasn't been received well by the community. But I actually disagree with you pretty strongly here. I admire the risk. Look, you don't hit it out of the park every time. You don't. Nobody bats it out every time. Not even Christopher Nolan, and come on. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan, right? But this is different. This is not Call of Duty 7. This is a weird thing that came to market. Was it great? No. Was it what we wanted? Probably not. But does it at least show experimentation and different thinking? And is it at least coming from, I'd argue, a good place? Yeah. I think it's actually opposite. I would like to see more things like this from Activision Blizzard, not less, because this shows difference. It shows difference, and we need more of that, right?
William, I'm starting to believe, you know what you're convincing me of?
Yeah.
That you're essentially a double agent, that secretly you hate Activision Blizzard. You hate it. You must hate them. To keep defending the nonsense there, you must wish every day that this company goes under.
No.
Because I don't understand how any lover of Activision Blizzard, any true Blizzard, someone who grew up on it like we did, right, looks at this and goes, yeah, this is the same company I grew up with. This is not tone deaf at all. Because it's tone deaf. They don't even know who their audience is anymore. They don't know who their customer is anymore. It's tone deaf. 1,000% tone deaf.
About this, partly, Paul, we have to disagree to have a podcast, right? I mean, but partly, and I'm quite serious here, buddy. I'm quite serious.
You enjoyed that art gallery. I want you to go through it. And and look at the exhibits.
It's not that I enjoyed or didn't enjoy it. It's that this is a risk, and you need a culture to be a great, innovative games company. You need a culture that lets people take risks. And is this the risk I would have taken? Maybe not. But at least it's a risk. At least it's a risk.
Make a new game with new IP. That's a risk I can get on board with. But a browser-based virtual gallery spewing nonsense about being a gamer feels awfully tone-deaf, weirdly self-serving. I don't know. They're buying into their own hype almost that no one else is buying into.
Hold on. Greg had a brilliant comment. Can we bring up Greg's comment?
Greg says they should make this gallery in real life under track 2 in New York, where the guy's man cave was.
That's awesome.
It's actually a brilliant idea, Greg.
Awesome. Yeah. No,
stop giving your best ideas to Activision.
Yeah, that's literally what we should do.
Martin says the gamer still makes me shudder. Yeah, I agree. Chris says, to think 8 years ago Nintendo did a campaign, I'm not a gamer, and they weren't wrong. Chris, I don't remember that. what was the I'm not Nintendo, I'm not a gamer campaign? And by the way, I was right. The Activision Blizzard shut down their Versailles, France operations.
Oh, look at you with that pronunciation, Versailles.
Which is weird, like in the same breath, but we can launch this.
I'll bring back Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre, oui, oui.
It's right next to the Jean-Pierre headquarters.
It's right next to the Jean-Pierre. We
Jean-Pierre,
because that's actually, it's really sad that a lot of talented developers lost their jobs. So,
but it's again, it's like it's kind of tone deaf, right? There's 300 employees there, and this wasn't one of the stories I was planning on doing, but 300 employees there, right? And again, it feels a little bit like, and I know you don't like this because we repeat it all the time, but it feels a little bit like Bobby Kotick gutting anything that's good at Activision Blizzard to eke out just a little bit more profit, just a little bit more, a few cents more on those earnings per share reports, right? Just a little bit more so he can show progress, get his bonus, and keep going, right? And at some point, this comes crashing down. At some point, you have to think it.
Well, oh, what's this?
I don't know if I can. I don't even know if I can copy that text the way this.
The way this tool works, but we'll look it up.
Works, yeah,
we'll do it next time. We'll do it next time, Martin. We'll take a look. I can't believe I don't remember that I'm not a gamer.
From 2012, I wasn't a Nintendo fan, anyways. Meaning I wasn't a big Nintendo gamer, so. But I had not heard of it. So I guess, William, the question is, you don't think it's a waste of time, right? You think this is not a sign of anything. It's just some silly thing Activision Blizzard decided to do.
I think this didn't take a massive amount of corporate resources, and it's a risk. And I'm for anything that does that right now. Like, yeah, would I rather it's an interactive 2D, tennis game that, takes place on Mars? And yeah, I'd rather it was other things, but like, I really mean this, like, this is the risk-taking culture, is if you're going to criticize anything they do that is different just because it doesn't work, that's not the right way. The right way to look at this is like, they launched something and it was different and they tried. And I hope what Activision Blizzard take away from this is not don't launch different things, just keep trying. Maybe this wasn't the one, but the spirit this is launched in is good, I think, right?
All right, I want to wrap up. No, I want to wrap up with a shout out. We have a new sponsor at the Business of Esports. It's Esports Entertainment Group, guys. If you know, like esports betting is one of the fastest growing areas of the industry. It's booming. I've personally stayed away from it because of the reputational risk. One of the beauties of why we brought on this sponsor, Esports Entertainment Group, is they're the first NASDAQ listed, fully regulated entity in that esports betting space. The management are great. I highly encourage anyone, if you're a family office investor of any kind, to check them out. Esports Entertainment Group. The ticker symbol is GMBL. Having said that, I have to say this disclaimer. This is not investment advice to buy or sell stock in any company. Do your own research. Seek advice from a licensed professional if you're looking to invest in the field. But definitely go check them out. Esports Entertainment Group, guys. Martin says, how is it even a meaningful risk, though? It's not. William is just trying to defend Activision Blizzard. He wants them to fail. And so he wants to keep encouraging them to go. I've uncovered his double agent nature here.
I like AB.
I know. I do too. That's the problem. I
love AB.
This is not the right risk to be taking. So, Martin, I don't think it's a meaningful risk. It's just, it makes them look silly. It just makes them look silly. Yeah. Find me one gamer who really liked this thing. I think William, to your point, if they had done what Greg said, I would have said, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right? There's something very artsy about it. Maybe it opens up gaming to a piece of the art world that would not otherwise,
I hope so,
have looked at. But this is not what they've achieved here, right? So anyways, on that note, guys, unless there's any other questions, anything else you want us to talk about, that's all we had this week. Make sure to keep an eye out for the podcast. As always, you guys know, make sure to go buy the Book of Esports if you haven't already.
Such a good book.
William's totally unbiased on this one. And if you've bought 2, buy a third. Tell your friends. Chris, oh yeah, you know what? We did want to talk about that, Chris. Let's talk about it. And because
I love the way we know what he means. Oh, actually, I guess lol in this case is actually lol and not laugh out loud. Yeah.
I did have it. Hold on, I did have it teed up.
Is this why you tuned in, Chris? Is this why you tuned in?
I did have it teed up actually. So we always love when people ask us to talk about things because that's the most fun. This was from witch50.com. Big blow to Australian esports as Riot abandons Oceanic Pro League. The article says, basically summarizes, Australia's premier esports competition, the Oceanic Pro League for League of Legends, was dissolved today. The decision represents a significant setback for the local industry. Local esports operators were shocked by the news. Many of those we contacted declined to comment as they were still processing, blah, blah. So they shut down League of Legends Oceanic Pro League. I mean, I know what my take is, William, but I'm curious what you think.
No, I want your take first because I don't actually have a strong opinion here. Like, what's your take?
My take is not that nice, and I'm sorry because I know we have fans in Australia, and I think you're
just going to say it's a small market and not every market.
Yeah, like who cares? Like
you're going to say it's a small market, not every market can sustain the league.
Yeah, like why is there no league? Australia is about the same size as Canada, right? Population wise, about 30 million, I think, something like that.
Hey, I'm a New Zealander, and New Zealand's in that Oceania region, so come on.
Meaning, like who cares? It's so small. Why is there no League of Legends Canada region? Or it just, I don't know, it's too small. At some point you go, we can't focus on everything. And one of the stories we didn't do this week was they just launched these 10 new teams, franchises
in Brazil. Yeah.
Brazilian League of Legends. Brazil is a way bigger market than Oceania. Like, it's a backwater. I'm sorry, Martin. I knew I was going to cut you deep, but it's a backwater. I apologize.
No, it's not.
I love the place. It's a beautiful place. But in terms of size of the market and relative importance,
I just think what it says, and it's not a criticism. It's just I think you need a certain population size to sustain a tier 1 competitive scene, right? It's just, there's nothing you can do. It's just if you don't have, it's not great pros can't come from Australia and New Zealand. It's if you don't have enough pros, fundamentally the pace of because you don't have enough pros, the quality of the games is significantly lower than it is in other regions. You just can't make it work, right? And so probably, I don't think this is Riot saying Australia, New Zealand, you're never getting competitive league. I think this is likely they're going to later on announce that it's been folded into another region that makes sense.
I think Asia is the most obvious.
Yeah, they'll fold it into something else and give it another path for the pros to compete. It's just if I announced a league of, and again, I mean, it sucks because Australia it's a lot of people and there are a lot of fans there. And New Zealand as well, and I think those people are disappointed. But I guarantee you this is not Riot abandoning them. It's just right-sizing the region to guarantee you can have consistent top-tier competitive play. So
it's also kind of unfortunate timing too, right, William? It's weird to shut down a whole region and then announce 10 new teams in a different region, literally in the same day or two.
Super weird.
Which is
super weird.
Unfortunate it's timing from
but we love you, Brazil. Yeah, I wish it had been managed differently, but at the end of the day, it's a balancing act, and not I don't complain that Providence, Rhode Island doesn't have its own league franchise system. We get the North America. It's just they're going to parse the geographies how it breaks out, and it's tough. I feel the worst for the pros and the regional operators there because I bet they were blindsided. And I bet that's for a lot of people, that's the end of your business, right? If you don't have league, what are you doing? So it's tough. It's tough.
I have a funny feeling it will be back. It will be back as part of a bigger region. Who's that's unfortunate just from a competition standpoint, right? Being part of maybe a bigger Asia kind of piece might make it that much harder to be competitive, but if the business metrics don't work, they just don't work. I mean, they don't work. That's what Martin said. They say it doesn't meet their metrics, and committing to an entire region like that has complexity. You need to hire people to manage it there. You need systems there, servers there, right? Like there's a huge amount of overhead and cost to maintain a separate region. And if the growth isn't there, or the viewership isn't there, or the dollars aren't there, kind of hard to blame them for shutting it down.
I don't even think it's the dollar piece for them. I really think it's Riot is committed to a premium competitive product and a high level of play across all regions. And if they just don't think they can source enough high level players based on the population size, I suspect it's more that than anything else. I think,
but then that means long term there may be no chance.
No. It'll just get folded into another region, so the player pool is broader. That's all. It's not.
No, but meaning, yes, I get it. But you may only have one or two from Australia then that ever make it to a competitive team in that region.
Well, but how is that different from plenty of other countries?
It's not. That's kind of the Canada example, right?
Yeah,
Reality is Canada probably only has one or two in that North American scene.
And it's always you, Paul.
Not for League, unfortunately.
All right.
On that note, guys, I think that wraps things up for this week. Stay tuned for the podcast. Tell your friends about the live stream every week. We love doing this. We love making it
so
fun and interactive. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Cam. Thank you all Adam, all you guys who are regulars who show up every week. We really appreciate you as always. On that note, we've got some exciting stuff coming out very soon. Stay tuned. Okay. Stuff's in the works. There's a reason why we've been having crazy weeks. But stay tuned, and we will see you guys next week.
Party on.